You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene. You're listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today we are going to talk about Myanmar. As we all know, Myanmar just had its first election after such a long hiatus under the military regime. And the election has just finished on November the 8th. And right now, the process of counting the votes is happening. A couple of days later, we will know the result of the general election. With me is Lin Zomin. He is a consultant at Deloitte in Myanmar. He'll be sharing with us on insights about the election as well as what's the future impact the election would have towards Myanmar, ASEAN and the world. First off, I want to say thank you for being at Durian ASEAN.
Yep, thank you, Arlene.
So Lin Zomin, you are a first-time voter. And what is the experience being in Myanmar, voting there?
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. I could not sleep very well before I vote.
Oh, wow.
Because that's not only me, but also for the other people. Mm-hmm. Because we all are very excited about this election, because this is the one of the biggest moments, and also this will be a very historical moment of the country. So we are excited of expecting for changes. Mm-hmm. And then we can start voting at 6 a.m. in the morning. And there I and my family, including my grandmother, went in queue.
Oh, wow. How old is she?
Yes, he's over 80 years old.
Oh, wow. Must be exciting for the whole family.
She was very excited for voting for the future generations. And she can cast pre-votes, but she didn't do that, pre-votes, because she said she wanted to vote on the election day, because pre-vote, she didn't trust in pre-vote system.
Can you share with us what is pre-votes?
Pre-votes are eligible for eligible voters who can vote before the election day on November 8th. For instance, the elderly people who could not go to the polling stations, they can cast their pre-vote, or the prisoners, or the others, disabled people who could not go to the polling station on the election day.
Even overseas?
Right, even the people who are working in overseas, also the government official who have to travel from one place to another, but their voting list in their region, but they are traveling because of many reasons. So they can cast pre-votes in Myanmar.
A bit about Myanmar election, fun facts, because we don't really know that much about Myanmar election. How many parties are they competing with each other?
Yes, altogether 91 parties, including the others, the individuals candidates. So altogether, over 6,000 candidates competed in this election.
Interesting. 6,000.
Yes.
That means there's
over 6,000.
But
yeah,
of
there's
course,
a lot of. Yeah.
Of course, the biggest party would be the National League Democracy, which is a party led by the Nobel Prize laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. Among all the parties that are contesting during the general election, how hard they were campaigning for voters to vote for them?
Actually, so there's not only one biggest party. There's two biggest parties compete in the election. One is, like you mentioned, the NLD, National League for Democracy. Second is the ruling party, USDP, and the rest are these small parties, including the ethnic parties. But in nationwide competitions nationwide, there's only two parties, the NLD and the USDP. For the campaigns, these you can see in across the country, only these two parties can do the nationwide campaigns, rallies around the country.
Yes.
But for the small parties and ethnic parties, they also did campaigns and rallies in their respective regions, especially in the states. We have 7 states and 7 divisions. In states, there are many ethnic people live in 7 states.
And what was the atmosphere during the campaign period? Because you were there in Myanmar. Was it dangerous?
Actually, the campaignings are mostly peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay, it's good. But in some areas, for instance, in Yangon and in Taketa constituency, Taketa is a township in Myanmar. In that constituency, there was an incident happened because one of the candidates of the NLD in that Taketa constituency was trying to do campaign. 2 or 3 people tried to attack this candidate, and he was hospitalized.
Oh wow!
For a few days. Yeah, for a few days in the hospital. That was very ugly moment in the country. But he's fine, and then he won in the elections in that constituency.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just a few, but most of the cases are quite peaceful in doing the campaign rallies.
Mm. What was the highlight during the campaign period, if you may share?
Actually, the NLDs leaders, the chairperson, the Aung San Suu Kyi, travels many places around the country as much as she could. So it's very, very effective for these elections, because people are expecting changes and also expecting the good leadership in this country.
Mm.
And also the campaign manager of the NLD, who is the former commander-in-chief of the armed forces in the Myanmar. His name is Tura Utin. He is the campaign manager of the NLD. He also traveled many places which Aung San Suu Kyi could not cover this short period. Mm-hmm. He is 91, over 90 years old.
Wow!
But he travels so many miles around the country because he wants to see the change in the country, work for the people.
We will take a short break. When we return, we will continue our discussion on the Myanmar election.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, good morning. This is Arlene. You're back with me again, and also with Lin Zaw-min. He's a consultant with Deloitte in Myanmar, with us sharing his opinion as well as personal experience voting in Myanmar's election. You shared with us earlier on about your whole family being there voting. I suppose most of you guys voted for the first time. But do you have any memory of the general election back in the 90s?
Oh yes, in 1990 elections, my parents voted in these elections, and my grandma voted for these elections. Also, my grandfather, who passed away, they have their experience. But at that time, also, it's quite good in voting, quite free and fair at that time, and that is why the NLD won landslides, as you may know.
Mm-hmm. Fast forward to today, and there are predictions by some sources that the NLD may win big again. But I guess the bigger question is, will the same history repeat on itself? Because though Aung San Suu Kyi, as we all know, were being house arrested, and many other of her political comrades were being put into prison. But a lot of people are saying history might not repeat in itself. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that, because there are many differences, different factors between 1990 elections and 2015 elections. The first is that in 1990 elections there is no parliament. There's no rules and regulations and laws in mentioning how to hand over the power to the winning party. But in 2015 elections, we do have constitutions and laws, rules and regulations, how to hand over the power to the winning party and the new government. That is the biggest difference between 1990 elections and 2015 elections. The one first factor. Second factor is that the military coups were not is most unlikely happened in Myanmar this time, because as you know, according to the constitutions, 25% of the seats are served for the military candidates in every parliament. It means that, and also if that's the military, it means that military already has power, in the parliament. And in order to change the constitutions in the parliament, at least 75% of the votes are needed to change any laws in constitutions. So therefore, 25% is occupied by the military. That's why at least 1%, even 75% of the votes agree in the parliament by elected member of parliament. At least 1% of the military candidates need to vote yes to change. It means that military has veto power to change the constitution in the parliament. This is the second point. In terms of administrations, governing in the government, according to the constitutions, the military chief, commander-in-chief, control 4 main ministries in Myanmar. First, Ministry of Defense. Second, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Development. Third, Ministry of Home Affairs. And so these three ministries have all the armed forces. For the Ministry of Defense, all the armed forces. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in border area, they are border guards, are also armed. In government administration, also the commander-in-chief control these 3 ministries, very powerful ministries in the government, according to the constitutions. I don't think they will be co-op and liked in the 1990 election.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that is influencing the current general election to make it more free and fair. And to add another one point, this time for this election, there were a lot more foreign observers. How many of them actually were there?
Exactly. So many I don't know the exact amount, but if you can find out the newsletter of Myanmar, and there will be the exact amount there. But there's many observers from EU, and for over 30 embassies, foreign embassies, and also from Carter Center. Carter Center is from US, founded by the former U.S. President Mr. Jimmy Carter, and also there are many observers from local too. So they conducted the press conference these few days. So overall, they certified the election process. And for instance, EU in press conference, he mentioned that the election is credible, because they can see the good results in the elections. And also for the Carter centers, they say that the election is credible, and they also amazed the election process is peaceful in the country.
What about when it comes to the election process in rural areas? Well, do you think there are observers there to ensure the rural areas are being well monitored too?
Actually, we have tens of thousands of polling stations. All the international observer could not reach to every single polling stations because of so many polling stations. But the rural areas, like you mentioned, polling stations, they are medias, local medias, and foreign medias, and local people, and for the political parties, candidates were observing at the times.
Anyway, we'll take another short break. When we return, we will discuss on the future of the new Myanmar.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene. You're back with me again, and also with Lin Zormin, discussing on Myanmar's general election. What would the Myanmar post-election be? Would it be a freer and fairer Myanmar? So, talking about the future impact of the new Myanmar, first off, do you think the Myanmar post-election will be a more democratic Myanmar?
I would say, but I would like to mention that the first we say free and fair elections. Later on, because of lack of experience in elections, the analysts and also say that all the embassies, they say that they'll be happy if the election is credible. They don't say a lot about free and fair, credibles. That's why the Qatar Center also mentioned that the election is credible. And so free and fair, I don't know exactly, because let's see the reports done by the observers. These reports will be out after the elections. Depends on that, because I could not see all the polling station, so it's not right time for me to answer this question.
I see. Okay. Do you see democracy as being part of the nation's backbone?
Yeah, but this democracy is part of the backbone of the country. It starts from 1947. Before the independence, we gained independence from British. In 1948, we gained independence. Before the independence father, the General Aung San, who's the founder of the military and the father of the ladies, the Aung San Suu Kyi, he already mentioned before he was assassinated that democratic system is most suitable system for Myanmar. From that point, people are expecting democratic country. Yes, it happened from 1948 to 1961, before the military took over the power in 1962, led by the General Ne Win. So from that point, and start from that, people still fighting, and from 1962 until 1988, the military regimes oppressed all the activists and pro-democracy leaders. And that's why 1988, as you all know, the uprisings occur in the country, demanding democracy and human rights. Start from that point, and the NLD was formed by few members and backed by the people. And the elections in 1990, general elections, NLD won landslide, but military regime did not hand over the power at the time. But people are still hoping and keep fighting for the democracy and human rights in this country. And therefore, in 2000, many incidents happened. And also, one of the most significant event is 2007, the monks' revolution. Asking,
The
so that
revolution.
right? That's right. And start from that, people political spirits grow again. to fight for the democracy and human rights. And after that, there's because of people spirit, movement, and people forces, and led by the ladies. I think the government and military leaders thought about the changes, because I think they don't want to go back to their notorious uprisings. You know, they don't want that again. I think that's why they have drawn the constitutions and approved in 2008 and called for the general election in 2010, because they want to avoid the accidents like 88 uprising. After that, you know, they changed their uniform from military uniform to the civilian uniform, right?
Yeah.
But most of the people are the same systems. But there are changes, of course, because of the election 2015, 2010 elections and by-election 2012. There are some changes in terms of national ceasefire agreement efforts and economic, political transformations and reforms, right? Within these 5 years. That's the brief history.
I see. With such a really interesting history on trying to push the country towards a democratic nation in the past and right now, what about the future impacts towards Myanmar politics and economy? We all know currently the politics is still very much controlled by the military regime, but do you see a brighter future?
I see very bright future. If the election is very credible and the power transition period is very peaceful, and the current USDP, the current government hand over to the winning party in the future, and the NLD could negotiate and work together with the military, the Myanmar future will be very, very bright. In terms of national reconciliations, we need ceasefire nationwide first. Second, if we have a political stability in the country, an economic impact will be big, because the investors will come in the country, invest because of the political stability. And more importantly, the NLD led by the lady Aung San Suu Kyi, they will make sure fighting the corruption. That's very, very important for the governance systems.
I can see a lot of economic progress if you go to Myanmar, right? To the fact that there's so many development happening around the corner. Do you see with Myanmar achieving democracy, if it ever achieved that status in the future, Myanmar would be able to catch up with the rest of Southeast Asian nation?
Yeah, I believe that Myanmar will catch up with other neighboring countries in Southeast Asia regions. But it takes time. You know, it's in building country cannot happen overnight. Cannot happen 5 or 10 years. It's happened over many decades, working together by the people, led by the good leaderships and good governance systems. So the thing is, but we can catch up quicker. Why? Because first, Myanmar is a strategic country. It lies between India and China, and we have so we have a big markets in India and China, and also the second is that the trade routes. We have Indian Oceans, but in the Pacific Oceans, they can also offer trading, and the economic will grow by trading with China, by having a good relationship with China. At the same time, for the ASEAN, if that special economic zones are developed, and the ASEAN region will also be very beneficial because of Myanmar, because of this new trade route with China, from east to west, west to east, the trading route would open. The second point is that in political context, because Myanmar is the only country, so far I know, Myanmar is the only country that invites international observer that much. In ASEAN country, not much like this, unlike Myanmar. So Myanmar could be democratic, a model in terms of democratizations and democracy in their ASEAN region.
With that, thank you, Lin Zomin. Thanks for joining the interview.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you.